From treating common infections to allowing organ transplants, antibiotics have extended the average lifespan by decades. However, they are slowly becoming a luxury of the past. Our days of reaping in their benefits are numbered as bacteria are slowly becoming resistant. Professor John Iredell is the director of the National Health Medical Research Centre in Critical Infectious Diseases at Westmead.
In a place like Australia, we see a big hospital like this, a big teaching hospital in Sydney or Melbourne, would see probably 1 or 2 infections a year at most, which is untreatable, almost untreatable. So it's currently a rare event for an Australian hospital to see an infection in a patient and you literally watch them die. We're not really doing that at the moment, but we're almost there.
According to the British Antimicrobial Resistance Review, the AMR, antimicrobial resistance will become the world's single greatest killer, surpassing diabetes and cancer. It is estimated that in the year of 2050, antimicrobial resistance will claim 10 million lives. The AMR says that if the current trend is not altered, the regions of Asia and Africa will be most affected by resistance, killing 4.7 and 4.1 million people respectively.
We had a gentleman who was very sick in intensive care, recovered. We recognised the presence of this resistance capacity in him, in a mobile genetic pool, and he then 30 days later had an infection with a very sensitive bacteria in his blood. He had a single dose of antibiotic. The next morning when we grew that same bacteria again and we proved it was the same bacteria, it had then acquired this resistance and was totally resistant to the antibiotics. And that's the way it works now.
This rate of resistance is exacerbated by inappropriate prescribing from health practitioners. Whenever we have a slight tickle in our throats, there's a sense of urgency to visit the local GP and ask for a prescription. Australians are some of the highest consumers of antibiotics amongst other OECD countries. It is estimated that Australians consume 10% above the OECD average. So if doctors and medical practitioners know that antimicrobial resistance does exist, why do they continue to prescribe inappropriately?
It's just natural human behaviour. If you go in there with your 2-year-old and they look miserable and you're stressed and worried, you want a solution. And if a solution is antibiotic and you can believe that it's a protection of some form, then you feel better. So it's human behaviour. And the only way around it really is, I guess, to educate people that antibiotics are actually harmful, because they're only going to think differently about this if they think they might be doing harm to their 2-year-old.
The use of antibiotics in intensive farming practices encourages the emergence of resistant strains of bacteria, which can spread through to humans via the food chain. According to a study titled Antimicrobial Use in Chinese Swine and Broiler Poultry Production, 38.5 million kilograms of antibiotics were used in animal production back in 2012 in China alone. Stephen Jurjevic is a professor of infectious diseases at the I3 Institute at the University of Technology, Sydney.
What we haven't really addressed adequately is what happens to all the antimicrobials that get fed to humans and to food animals. At the world data, I think I'd be fairly accurate in saying that somewhere between 50 to 70% of all antimicrobials that are used on a tonnage basis is used in food production systems. The last line antimicrobials that we need to save people's lives, of course, are used in human medicine, and we need to be more judicious that we restrict it solely to human medicine, that we don't use those antimicrobials in food production systems. And we do that better depending on which country you want to talk about. Some countries we do it very poorly, other countries we do it very well.
For Professor Jurjevic, the federal government's One Health policy is a step in the right direction to curbing the impact of antimicrobial resistance.
There's no point in just looking at the antimicrobial resistance problem in a hospital, because that's only one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. It's not good enough for us just to look at animal production systems, because that's only one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. What we need to do is we need to break down those silos and have a total ecological approach
The future of human and animal health lies in the hands of researchers and policymakers. May they make the right choices for us.